Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalists. Stay for this video. I like it because it's a typical scenario where you have an aggressor coming after you. It could be violent ex, it could be your daughter's boyfriend like it's in the case of this video. It could be some attacker that is just trying to break into your house and just doesn't care that you're inside. I actually know of cases like that where people inside started shouting out, "Hey, we're in here," thinking that the criminal would just go away. They don't. They still try to break in. What is it that you do? Before I go on with the video, a few things. Folks, I'll talk with Matt and see if we do the live stream tonight. I suppose we will. So see you tonight if it goes that way. Also, in case you're looking for a movie recommendation, a video game to play, I'm playing a lot of Star Citizen, which is a space simulator like nothing else you've ever seen. If you haven't seen Star Citizen and you don't know what I'm talking about, and you do like video games, and you do like the idea of flying your own spaceship in a virtual world, which, you know, it's one of those things that for an entire generation was the dream of a video game. That's Star Citizen, and I have a channel where I cover movies and video games, specifically Star Citizen, in the links below. If you start playing Star Citizen, use my referral code, which I'll see you listed, and because my channel is really small, I'll add you as a friend and play along with you if we're playing at the same time. One more thing, a lot of this stuff is, you know, textbook, literally textbook of this stuff that I explain in Street Survival Skills. I'll go through some of these things as you see them in the video, but if you're interested in this sort of thing, Street Survival Skills is precisely the book you need. And also in terms of course, the economic aspect of survival and preparedness, surviving the economic collapse. Let's get to this video. Violent ex-boyfriend. She hasn't talked with him for years. Probably broke up with him because he's a little bit of a lunatic. He just starts sending phone calls and he shows up and tries to break in, even though that dad is telling him, we are armed, we have a gun, go away. James, go.
A Ring doorbell camera captures the terrifying moment when a woman's ex-boyfriend is shot and killed by her father. It happened on
I have a gun. He's warned.
In Sydney, Ohio. Allison Duckrew says she and her mother returned home from breakfast when her ex-boyfriend approached the front door. When no one answers the door, the man starts to get physical.
He's trying to break in.
This, Allison places a call to 911.
So a few things here already. We were just seeing the situation where he shows up, rings a bell, people tell him to go away. He decides not to go away. He decides to try to break into the house. Legally speaking, that's a big no-no. Legally speaking, in most of the civilized world, you have a right to defend your life, especially when you're in your house and someone is trying to break in and you're really left with no option. You either defend yourself or you let this lunatic do whatever it is he wants with you. He could have a gun, he could have a knife, he could just hit you over the head with a rock. Doesn't matter. Your life is clearly at risk. A few things already. We have the video camera. Ring. We of course know about the evil aspect of many of these intrusions to our privacy, but in this case though, you have something that is really helping your cause in terms of providing very clear evidence of what happened here. This guy did not leave. This guy broke into the house. So the security camera, important thing. She called 911. You have to do that, even though police will not show up in time. It's, you know, pretty much impossible that they do. They just don't have the time to reach there before they break in. Now, as of breaking in, you want a better door. You know, this is, you know, textbook. That's why I'm saying it's textbook from what I explained in terms of having better home security. That is one of the first things you want to change in your house is those little flimsy screws. They just don't hold on. They just look literally the same. I mean, you see those? You want to change those screws for something that will provide a little bit more peace of mind, something that goes well into the frame. They do seem quite large though, which, you know, it may be the angle of the camera, so I'm not entirely sure about that. Maybe the entire construction of the house is flimsy. Either way, you do have kits so as to reinforce these doors. I mean, I'm used to something different. My idea of home security is brick, mortar, cement, steel, and a security door that you simply cannot kick down or even push. I mean, the guy is not even, and I explained the technique for actually kicking down a door. He's not even using that. He's just pushing and shoving. But this door is so flimsy that even with no idea what he's doing, he's just pushing a little bit and the door gives.
There's some guy on my front porch.
And here we have an image of the frame. So this is a lot of damage here that you see. But if you look at it, again, not entirely sure of the angle, but you have bent metal, which is kind of unusual to see so much metal folded around. This is probably from the, probably just not all that strong. And this just gave with just a few shoves and pushes. You see the crack going down. Usually, if you have longer screws, you want to look and understand the kind of structure that you have in your house, right? The door itself, it is really not that great. It's pretty much the minimal door you could have, which is not providing any kind of security, as proven by him being able to break in just by pushing and shoving a bit. This is just too flimsy. It just cracked all the way through, just gave up. And yeah, that door, it's just not a secure door. How much can or can you not do depending on the house you're dealing with and your financial resources? That's going to be up to you. I do know that you have kits which have like a reinforced metal plate that goes into several spots, and it does reinforce the door a lot more. So look into that. Look into the security aspect of having a camera filming what's going on in your doorstep.
I just back and he'll answer me on the ring. Okay. He left me a voicemail on my phone last night.
That voicemail came from 22-year-old James Rail, who Allison says she dated several years ago.
Hi.
Another thing, look at the call from this psychopath, the tone of voice, how monotonous and level the voice of he's like distant and not there, like he's all in the same tone, like, yeah, well, Allison, I really want to see you because, Allison, I really miss you and we should talk, Allison. And Allison is not interested in any of that. She told him when she dumped him, and years later this psychopath is coming after her yet again.
It's James. I just wanted to reach out to you because I just wanted to see how you're doing. It's been a while.
This is a psychopath. The tone of voice, the conversation itself. I mean, it could well be that if someone, an ex that you broke up in friendly terms and you happen to be visiting, hey, I'm around here, and if you happen to be in the area or whatever, now, you don't get a call back, you don't get a reply from that. Normal people understand those clues, and that's it. You go on with your life, so does she. But this is not the case. We're not talking about a normal person. We're not talking about a normal conversation. And all of these little clues that I'm explaining, you should be aware of them. For an ex, for someone that you wanted to distance, you wanted to distance yourself from it. All of these little clues give you an idea that you're not dealing with a normal person. So when you don't answer back, you don't call back, and they insist that they still want to see you, even though you first said you're not interested, and then they keep on calling and you just ignore them, and it keeps on going. Bad sign.
Since I talked to you, and feel like it. I don't know what I feel.
I don't know what I feel.
I do want to talk to you, though. I do. It'd be nice. It'd be sweet.
Allison later tells investigators she did not return the call.
And he tried to contact me a couple times and I've ignored it. And then last night he called me at 11:40. I didn't answer. He left me a voicemail saying, hey, let's talk. I didn't answer him.
After Rail breaks through
and most of all, the fact that you show up to a house, and not only you just show up, which is bad enough when they didn't even answer your call, but most of all, the key here thing is, guys, he's ringing on the bell, they're telling him to leave, and he decides to break in. That puts him on the other side of the line. He is a violent attacker, and you have every right to defend yourself with whatever means you have at your disposal. When he tries to break in spite of being told, get the hell out of here, when he's being told that they have a gun, he still tries to break in. You know that he's willing to do everything or anything when, in spite of being told that, I have a gun, get the hell out of my house, he still tries to break in. You just don't know what this man is capable of.
Family's door, Allison's father, Mitchell Duckroot, calls out with a warning. Seconds later,
I got a gun, he
3
says.
shots are fired in Rail's direction.
And here you see glass breaking, right? And he breaks in. Now,
it shows Rail falling to the ground.
he goes away a few steps, falls there in the driveway.
Garage. Soon after, several neighbors approach the scene.
He tried to break in and get to our daughter.
Okay, well, he's not moving. He don't have a gun.
He broke our door in.
Did you shoot him?
Yes.
He says, oh, he's on the floor here and he hasn't got a gun, which may well be the case. Maybe he has a knife. Maybe he has nothing at all. You don't know, but you don't let your life, you don't leave your life or in the life of your family and your daughter and in the hands of a psychopath that is breaking into your house. If he has a gun, doesn't have a gun, that's really not a matter here. He's breaking into your house when being warned that you're armed and you're going to be shooting him, and he still does that. He's really leaving you no option. Now, neighbors show up. This is good because you have witnesses of the situation. Now, one thing that I explain here is that if you don't have a neighbor and you happen to have people that walk by, you want to ask names. You want to ask for phone numbers. You saw what happened. Police may reach out to you so as to verify what just happened here. Could I please have your name? Could I please have your phone number? Maybe a driver stops and you get a number. If not, you have the camera. You have your own cell phone. Film. Show everything. Get as much evidence on your so as to corroborate your story, the events that unfolded as you can. Of course, witnesses, that is always a good idea to have as many of those as you can.
Meanwhile, Allison remains on the line with 911 and can be heard comforting her father.
You're the best dad ever. You just saved my life. I know.
So of course she's very upset. And now the aspect that I want to end the video with is what happens when police show up, which is something that's not really discussed all that much. So cops show up, right?
Several minutes after gunshots rang out, officers arrived to the scene.
The guy's dead right here. Where's the guy with the gun? Inside.
Where's the guy with the gun? Cops always want to know where the hell is the guy with the gun, because the guy with the gun is always the threat to him, the police officer, and of course he wants to protect his own life above, everything else. In these situations, it's completely understandable that I just want to know where is the guy with the gun, because I want to take care of the guy with the gun first.
The house, he's the homeowner. The guy tried to break in the house. And the guy.
Okay, so fortunately you have a neighbor already explaining and calming the officers. But you see the officers are approaching with their hands on their gun, because that's the right thing to do, just in case this is not what this friendly neighbor is explaining. Maybe the friendly neighbor is confused. Maybe as soon as they approach, the homeowner starts shooting at them. You just don't know. Or maybe the home invader that none of them even knew about is still there. Or maybe there's an accomplice. But they're approaching with the hand in their guns, in their issued firearms.
Just basically protect himself.
We're right here.
Okay, you guys have your gun down?
Yeah, we're right here.
Officer.
Okay, so they start talking. Communication. Talk. Officer, we're here. Do you have the gun? No, I placed it on the table. Right? All of these things will really help. Something that you don't see here, but this is a tip that I would like you to consider. If this is the first thing the officer sees, that is always dropping the level of stress from the situation. Officer, yes, he just broke in. Whatever you explain, whatever you point at, but showing the white palm, right? It's something that, it's something that reflects light a lot more. It's very visible, even in a high-stress situation. It shows that you're unarmed. It just shows a different kind of body language. It really calms the situation when you want things to be calmed, okay? Officer, yes, he just broke into, and the gun is over there, and you do this. That's immediately going to be putting you in a safer position.
Enter the home
and here you have the dad's gun, which is a compact Glock, which he's probably carrying. Now, a few things. This would be the typical American gun owner, probably a guy with a concealed carry permit. I would probably go towards that, especially because it's not a full size. It's like a little compact Glock for carrying. Now, I see that he hasn't got any kind of different size. This is just telling me that Dad is probably not the highest trained guy around. He's just your typical average guy that made the minimal class of getting his concealed carry license, and he's okay with that. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. But usually when someone does take like classes on clearing malfunctions, that sort of thing, you usually change the sights. You usually change the sights, and usually you change those for square metal sights that allow you to manipulate the gun against a belt, shoe, or single-handed malfunction drills and that kind of thing. If you see a Glock that has the stock plastic sights, it's probably not someone that's a very gun type of guy. One more thing is that you see the Glock with the trigger forward. This means that it's probably with a round in the chamber, and effectively that's the case here.
Secure the weapon.
Now the officer manipulates the gun correctly. He's very careful about the muzzle where it's pointing at. It's not always the case. It happens a lot that officers have accidental discharges because they're nervous, because they're new to the job, because they had just a bad day. Whatever reason it is, those things happen, right?
Used in the shooting. After that,
hollow points, 9mm, great, did the job. And it's a little bit of an older Glock, and it has a good amount of wear there, so that's showing me, he's probably putting his hand a little bit too close. Fortunately, the finger is off the trigger.
He explains how
he removes the round from the chamber and secures it. Okay, now my advice, depending on your level of training, depending on the stress level that you're in, if you're wounded or not, but ideally, if I was in a situation like that, I try to do this myself, clear it, put it on the table, the round that is in the chamber right there, magazine, and I leave it all in the table like this. This is the way in which you leave your firearm secure for the officer to pick up and manipulate as whatever thing he wants to do with it, but this is what he sees immediately. And I reduce the chances of, maybe a cop that shows up that is a little bit more nervous, a little bit less, aware of these things, having an accidental discharge in this kind of moment. That is at least the way I would do it, but it's perfectly fine if you just leave the gun on the table and let the officer take care of it too. Folks, that's basically the analysis of this video. I think it's a good video because it presents some of the more typical home defense situations. Someone just comes after you and they're either on drugs, mentally unstable, or just fixated on hurting you and your family and leaving you with no choice. Guys, that's all for now. See you in the next video. Take care.